In this lesson, we will focus on the energy conversion that occurs in every chemical reaction. Conversion from chemical energy to heat and from heat to chemical energy. Chemical energy is the energy present in the bonds between atoms in a molecule. Energy is required to break these bonds, and energy is often released when these bonds are formed. The amount of heat energy required to break a bond is the same as the amount of energy released during the formation of the bond at the same temperature and pressure. The process of bond breaking and bond forming is basically what happens in a chemical reaction. In a reaction, the heat energy required to break the bonds of a reactant is known as the heat content of that reactant, while the energy released by the formation of the bonds of the product is known as the heat content of the product. Another name for the heat content of a reaction is enthalpy. It is a measure of energy, and it is denoted with the letter H. We use delta H to indicate a change in enthalpy. The enthalpy, or heat content of a substance, is defined as the internal energy possessed by 1 mole of a substance due to its structure and physical state, and it is measured in joules per mole. The enthalpy of a substance is an important measurement because it tells you the amount of energy that a substance absorbs or contributes in a chemical reaction, either as a product or a reactant. It is important to note from our definition that enthalpy depends on the physical state of the substance. This means that enthalpy of substances change when the physical state changes. Take water as an example. Water does not react with magnesium, but steam, the gaseous form of water, does. This is because it takes less energy to break the bonds of water when it is in its gaseous state. This is why, to measure the standard enthalpy of a substance, we carry out our measurement at standard temperature and pressure. During chemical reactions, the heat generated by the formation of the bonds of the products is used to break the bonds of the remaining reactants. If the heat of bond formation is greater than the heat required to break the bonds of the reactants, excess energy will be released. If, on the other hand, the heat needed to break the bonds of the reactants is greater than the heat needed to form the products, excess energy needs to be absorbed. The amount of heat given off or absorbed during a reaction is known as the heat of reaction. In further lessons, we will discuss this heat of reaction and see how it is calculated. In the meantime, this lesson can be summarized as follows. The enthalpy or heat content of a substance is defined as the internal energy possessed by 1 mole of a substance due to its structure and physical state. Secondly, it is the energy a substance absorbs or contributes to a chemical reaction. I'll see you in the next lesson.